The Backrooms. There's absolutely nothing scary about it. In its rawest form, without all the monsters and the extended lore, it's just a never-ending room with a strange wallpaper choice and a carpet that could easily hide a pee stain or two. Like, why would anyone be afraid of something so absurdly trivial? I know it's crazy, but let me get this straight. It's not necessarily the image or the room itself that's scary, it's the concepts that come with it. And to truly unravel the fear that comes with the Backrooms, we need to talk about several other fears. It's a compounded amalgamation of fears that truly make the Backrooms unnerving and uncomfortable. First, let's talk about liminal spaces. Gaining popularity alongside the Backrooms in 2019, a liminal space is simply a seemingly abandoned or empty place that feels surreal or unnatural. When something is liminal, it's somewhere between two known states or locations, meaning liminal spaces or states are ambiguous and unknown. Think of like being inside an airplane. You're on a flight from New York to San Francisco. You know you're in America, you know you're on a plane, but without that little TV in front of you telling where you are, you might as well be flying over Chicago or Denver. Now, applying this to a physical space that you can navigate yourself, imagine a hotel hallway, but every door looks the same and is unmarked. If you suddenly blacked out on the 4th floor and woke up, you might expect to be on the 4th floor, or you might be on the 34th floor because every floor looks the same. And this concept doesn't have to be dramatically repetitive, like a hotel hallway, a subway station, or a stairwell. A real-world example of experiencing liminal space, aside from the hotel hallway example, is being in an abandoned mall or walking around a school after dark. You're in a place where you expect there to be many people bustling about, but there isn't. Although you aren't physically in a transitional space, you are in a transitional time. And although you can count the hours until opening or sunrise, you can't truly 100% expect people to show up because that is in the future and you are existing alone in an unfamiliar place and atmosphere somewhere between the past and the future. It's the present. Who knows, that mall might never be successful again, or the school that you're in has a safety audit. Liminal spaces should feel uncomfortable in some way. Something that is familiar, but yet something unfamiliar at the same time. And that's where my previous example kind of breaks. Of course you know whether or not people will return to school because students have a schedule. And of course you know people will be in the mall in the morning because people who work there have their work schedules, right? So one of the important parts of the Backrooms and liminal spaces being scary is that it should make you feel crazy. Not that you are crazy, but that you doubt your own psyche. Because let's face it, if you're seeing someone being crazy, you know they're just bothering people around them. Even if they are crazy, they tend to believe that they aren't crazy. They have a valid reasoning in their head on why they should be acting the way they are. But if you are crazy, you have no reasoning to why you're experiencing the things that you are. You have no base or ground or reference on why things are the way they are. Liminal spaces should gaslight you and drive you insane. Now, if you're not familiar with gaslighting, you are. You just don't realize you know. But you do know, and you can't say that you don't know because you are familiar with it, and maybe you're just not remembering correctly, because you've definitely experienced it before. Everyone does. And I refuse to believe that no one has tried to gaslight you before because it's such a common occurrence. So there's no way that you aren't familiar with gaslighting. So you should stop pretending that you don't really know what it is because you definitely have experienced it, and you should be the one telling me what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is a psychological manipulation that causes the victim to question the validity of their own thoughts, memories, and perceptions. The term comes from a 1938 British play by the same name, Gaslight, which was then made into a film in 1944, where a man convinces his wife that she's going crazy by convincing her that she is simply imagining that the gas lights in their house are dimming, when he in fact is the cause of the gas lights dimming. There's more to this story, but that's the most important thing that we need to talk about. A man convinces his wife that she's insane. A great example of gaslit insanity in gaming is Super Mario 64's Endless Staircase. Before you have 70 stars to ascend into Bowser in the sky, you can enter the staircase early leading to the level, but there's one thing that's strange. You start climbing the stairs and you start hearing some strange music. You keep going as you watch the paintings pass by you, one by one. You can even count them as you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 100. The staircase seems to go on forever. And when you finally give up, you turn around and find that you are 20 steps from the bottom. What do you mean I didn't go anywhere? I was running for several minutes. I'm certain I was running for a little while, but I didn't get anywhere at all? Like, not one bit? And sure, some games have sanity effects that can mess with our own personal sanity, like Psycho Mantis turning off your game to a black screen with the words Hideo on the top right like a CRT TV, or Eternal Darkness turning down the volume. But those are just little tricks pulled on you. You don't really have an input on them. They're just done to you. You don't really question your actions, you question your surroundings. And I think that's one of the biggest dangers for oneself, is not having the ability to cognitively think for yourself. You never know if you're in danger or you're endangering others. Are you in control or someone else in control? Are you a threat, or is there a threat that you're just unaware of? Which brings me to my next game, a game about liminal space, one that covers both space and time. That game is PT. PT is a game where you loop back to the same rooms over and over and over and over again, like you are mentally stuck on an event in your life made manifest. What's truly terrifying about this game is that it constantly makes you question yourself. Are you making progress? Is there something different? Are things staying the same? Is the ghost of PT constantly watching me? Or is it even there at all? Anyways, one of the key concepts in the game is walking through these repeating rooms. What's strange is that every time you do, either nothing changes or something changes. And that's the unsettling part about it. Some things are obvious, like the time changing from 11:59 to midnight, or randomly finding a fridge where the chandelier should be. Those can be a bit goofy. But it's when nothing changes at all is where you start to doubt yourself. Did I miss something? Was that there before? Rebooting the game gives you new story events or triggers, like in Nier or Nier Automata. You think you beat the game, but it turns out you only beat about a fifth of the game, so you got 4 more endings to go. Good luck. But with those games, the win condition is the trigger for progress. Making a lose condition the key to progress can just confuse the player. A lot of RPGs and action games will have you face off against a seemingly unbeatable foe, and at that point you usually ask yourself, oh, am I supposed to lose this fight? Turns out it's just a really hard boss. But sometimes you have to lose, and it's mostly for storytelling reasons. These events can really mess with the player psychologically, making them think that they lost progress, or maybe the game file's corrupted and they lost their save data. Or maybe it's just Monica. Doki Doki Literature Club is another great example of gaslit insanity. The first half of the game is completely normal. You chat with the girls, you make poems, you trigger flag events with potential bachelorettes, only to find out that it is not that kind of game at all. Content warning, these girls KMS in Minecraft, so don't say I didn't warn you. One of the coolest things in this game is that the log for the game keeps track of the original dialogue over top the corrupted ones. Suddenly you'll see Yuri say something out of pocket, and you'll go back to see what she said, only to see that that's not what she said at all. The menus get all messed up, the character portraits go insane, you swear you could have seen Monica in the corner, things in the background are suddenly missing or transformed into something else. It's perfectly unsettling because you know the game is messing with you, but you never truly know what the game is capable of. And I think one of the best moments of, am I doing this right, is when you sit there staring at Yuri's dead body over the weekend and it's just long and drawn out. Do you save and quit? Is there a secret option that you missed? Nah, you just sit there and wait for Yuri's blood to turn to chocolate before Natsuki shows up and you watch her head explode for no reason. You know. And sitting through all that dialogue is exhausting. And you start to wonder, is there really a point in waiting through all that text, just clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking? They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And those are the famous words spoken by none other than Albert Einstein. Except it wasn't Albert Einstein, it was Rita Mae Brown, civil rights campaigner and feminist writer. When you're stuck doing the same task over and over again, you really start to feel insane. You question, is there a point to all this? I like to think of the game Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion. Spooky's House of Jumpscares. I don't know. There's sort of copyright BS going on, I think. Because in Spooky's Jumpscares, there are hundreds of floors. I mean, hundreds. Maybe like 1,000 or something. I don't remember. But every floor is just the same thing over and over and over and over again. Sometimes you get a silly little guy pop out of nowhere to scare you, and honestly, that is seriously the scariest thing of the whole game. And I'm not even kidding. You can die from hostile monsters in there, but that is just sweet release. Or lost progress, whichever one you see it as. But going through those hallways over and over and over and over and over and over again, with random poster guys popping out, it's grating on the brain. Humans are pattern-seeking creatures. We love seeing stability in numbers and shapes. The random pop-ups, the random number of hallways that you need to clear over and over and over again with no signs of stability or reason, it could easily drive someone insane if left alone in that kind of environment. A saving grace with the game is that you have save points that break up the pace, so you don't feel like you're going to lose a ton of progress, and there are special puzzle floors that aren't randomized, but if it weren't for those two aspects, the repetition alone could probably off a guy. Now, let's look at a silly little game called The Stanley Parable. It's a sort of choose-your-own-adventure kind of game where there are multiple endings, but the ending we're going to talk about is the insanity ending. Stanley finds himself stuck in liminal space, much like the Backrooms. He ends up in a repeating set of rooms, endlessly looping between them. He starts hallucinating, starts to believe it's a dream, and then realizes it's not a dream that he can wake up from. He runs from room to room, desperately trying to find his way out, and in the end, he is found lying lifeless on the sidewalk, presumably dead from his own insanity. And that's the true horror of the Backroom. It's not the monsters waiting inside, it's not the different floors, each with their differing threats. It's the idea that you'll never escape no matter how much you walk, that every action you take is useless. It doesn't matter if you take a left or a right, you're still going to see the same wallpaper and dimly lit rooms. And sure, there are things changing from room to room, but by how much? And are you sure you're not just looping back to the same room? And there might be something there with you, but you don't really know for sure. You can't clearly hear it, but it can probably hear you. And is it even really there or not? And at the peak of it all, you start questioning your reasonings, your motivations, your hope. Will you break out of the Backrooms, or will it break you? My name's Akira Dolce. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm one of the biggest weenies of all time, and I can't even tolerate most horror games, but the ones that I do, I tend to enjoy them. I like Resident Evil, Doki Doki Literature Club, Luigi's Mansion. Does that count? There are some other games I wanted to include in this video, like Exit 8 and I'm on Observation Duty, that really play with the player's sanity, but I couldn't find a really good way to talk about them that a different game did better. So, yeah. Am I insane for being afraid of the Backrooms? I don't really know. It's honestly kind of terrifying to think about that, but that's just kind of cyclical thinking. Am I afraid of it because I'm afraid, or am I afraid because I'm not afraid? Or am I afraid? I totally forgot what I was talking about now. Anyways, subscribe for more videos. I'll see you next time. See ya.